This is the Chery Tiggo 7 Super Hybrid, a plug-in hybrid electrified SUV with a price tag that you might not believe. In this review, I'll tell you what you get for your money, what it's like to drive, and what the best alternatives are. So stick around. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell. It helps a lot. And let's check out this new, very affordable plug-in hybrid SUV. There are two different plug-in hybrid versions of the Chery Tiggo 7 available. They're still the cheaper petrol ones, but if you are looking for plug-in hybrid, the cheapest is still very, very cheap, let's say. $39,990 drive away for the entry-level version, which is called Urban, and it has still a very long list of standard equipment and lots of EV driving range. I'll tell you all about the powertrain shortly, but let's talk about what you're getting standard for your 40,000 bucks. There's LED lighting all around the car. You're getting 18-inch alloy wheels and an interesting design. I don't really like it personally, but you're also getting a few really good features like keyless entry. It's got sit to start, so you don't actually need to push a button or anything. You just sit in the driver's seat, put your seatbelt on, put your foot on the brake, and then you can put it into gear and drive, which is kind of interesting. And it's also got a 12.3-inch driver instrument cluster, a 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly available. There's a power adjustable driver's seat. There's fake leather seat trim on the inside, and you get a 6-speaker sound system. And if you spend a little bit more to get into the ultimate grade, it's just a few thousand extra dollars, but you're getting a whole heap of extra features, including nicer looking 18-inch alloy wheels, plus a panoramic sunroof with a powered sunshade, and there's color ambient lighting with selectable coloring. There's heated and ventilated front seats. You get memory settings for the driver's seat. You also get an 8-speaker Sony sound system, a wireless phone charger, puddle lights, privacy glass, and a 360-degree camera system as well, which is actually really, really handy for when you're parking. So the value for money equation is strong. These are very affordable cars with still lots of stuff. But let's talk about some alternatives that you might also want to consider. Look, if you can only spend $40,000, you can't spend a cent more, well, the plug-in hybrid base model of this car is still very, very appealing. There's no doubt about it. But if you can spend a little bit more, you might have some other options to consider. Firstly, the BYD Sea Lion 6. It starts at $42,990 plus on-road costs. You'll find deals out there if you are willing to buy one that's already in stock. But it is a very appealing thing. It's got loads of standard equipment. It's got more than 90 Ks of EV driving range in that entry-level version, and a whole heap of standard equipment and spec, and lots of safety tech too, and it's not annoying to drive, so it could be a very good choice if that's what you're after. Another one you might want to consider is the JQ J7, which is actually kind of related to this car. It's from the same big business, but it looks different and it feels different and it drives different. In fact, it drives a lot better in my opinion. It's got a nicer interior and it does have a higher price point, but it might be a better plug-in hybrid if you like the way that it looks and you are after a very enjoyable drive experience, because it is a fair bit more polished than this, but we'll get to that later on. And there's another option you should consider. If you like this car, you like the look of it, you want something maybe a little bit bigger, the Chery Tiggo 8 Super Hybrid with 3 rows of seats could be the best bet that you could make, because it starts at around 46 grand drive away, up to 50 for the top spec one, but even the base model feels pretty bloody special, I gotta say. You're getting heaps of standard spec and tech, similar EV driving range, and a better drive experience more generally, in a lot of different ways. But watch my review of it, you'll find a link in the description, and to all my other plug-in hybrid reviews, which I'll link down there for you, so you can really get amongst it and make up your mind. See which one's right for you and have your say in your comments, because I'd love to hear from you. Compared to the Tiggo 7 petrol models, you might notice some differences. In fact, there's a revised front end design here with a different bumper. Obviously, there's these different wheels, which on the base model, I am not convinced by. They look like dinner plates, but it does have a bit more presence and a bit more panache than the petrol versions. In my opinion, it looks pretty good, but I already thought that the petrol one looked pretty good anyway. Now, I'll put the dimensions on your screen so you can see for yourself. It is a relatively conventionally sized mid-size SUV at just over 4.5 meters long, But also, I think it has a significant improvement when it comes to some other considerations, because the payload is a decent 522 kilos now, and this Tiggo 7 can tow, unlike some of the other models in the lineup, up to 750 kilos of towing capacity, which, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's better than nothing, which is what the petrol ones can do. Now, the rear end design has been changed as well. As you can see, it's a bit more like the Tiggo 4 with the redesigned tail light bar and new badge, and it looks tidier and neater and more modern. Now, let's have a look in the boot here. As you can see, this is a practical car. There's a decent amount of boot space to play with here and a relatively flat load lip as well. I know that matters to a lot of people as well. Now, in the back, you do have a cargo cover, which is a nice inclusion. You've got a 12-volt port down there, which is nice, and there are pop-out little bag hooks on either side, which is a bonus because, well, it'll mean that your shopping shouldn't go flying when you go around corners. And underneath here, well, you're not going to find any spare wheels, unfortunately. It doesn't have one. It's just got a tyre repair kit as standard, and that might be a deal breaker for some people, but would it be for you? Have your say in the comments. No dramatic changes to the interior of the Tiggo 7 plug-in hybrid compared to the other regular versions of the Tiggo 7. Is that okay? I think it's fine. It's not necessarily the most amazing interior compared to the Tiggo 8, but I do think that you're still getting plenty of good stuff in here. You've got a 12.3-inch driver info display screen there, and obviously it has a little bit of different information on it. So up there you'll see we're in hybrid drive mode right now. On that side you'll see the battery range and also the amount of battery percentage remaining, so you can change it whether you want range or percentage. And over here you've got your overall driving range, or you can change that to be your petrol driving range. So there's a bit of configurability there. You'll also see there's a speed sign recognition system with the volume muted, and it will stay muted, which is a nice inclusion. And over here you've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And I mean, just like the regular Tiggo 7, it's okay, but it's maybe not as good as some others out there in terms of the usability. In fact, I like the JQ screen much more than this, and I also like the Tiggo 8 screen more than this as well. Now, you do have some different menus available to you, so you can go onto the new energy menu and see what's happening with your energy flow. You can change the different power management modes and your discharge, so if you're using vehicle to load, because it has that too, you can use that there. And there's also some other settings like your regen braking and also how you show things up on the screens, like I said. Now, if you're wondering how you change between the drive modes of HEV, hybrid and electric, well, there's a button set up down there to do so. Nice to see that you've got buttons. Don't like that they're piano black, but that's just how it is. There's also a drive mode selector there too. And you do have some buttons here which aren't really buttons either. They're more like haptic controls for your climate settings. At least they're there. You don't have to go on screen to do everything. But you've got a recirc button and a fan slider and a temperature slider. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, but it's not too bad. There's drop-down menus for some of the controls that you might want to get into quickly. You can do the speed limit assist thing, you can do the driver monitoring system, and also the lane departure prevention, but thankfully they aren't annoying in this car. I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we go for a drive. Now, you can trigger on your surround view camera there if you want to as well, and you've also got on-screen controls for your temperature and so forth. So you can do that on screen if you prefer, or you can use the controls down below, and if you use the controls down below, it'll show up on the screen. Now, let's talk about some other considerations in here. Wireless phone charger is standard in the top spec, but you get USB-C and A ports. There's a pair of cup holders there. Down below, there's additional storage, and there's even a new little smasher. So if you're in a crasher into a dam or something, you can get out. And here, you've also got this ambient lighting, which is configurable. It's up on the dashboard here because this is the high grade version, so it gets the goodies. And the synthetic leather seat trim is very synthetic leathery feeling. Now, you do have controls for the seats that are fully electric. You've got heating and ventilation as well. You have to go on screen to turn them on, but I mean, that's just how it is, unfortunately, in this car. I wish there were a few more buttons, and I wish the voice control system was a little bit better too, because it's not as good as some other models. I also don't like the piano black finishing on the steering wheel. That's a common complaint across other Chery models as well. If I turn the lights off, because you do have manual light controls, which is good, you've also got blinkers and wipers where they should be. So wipers that side, blinkers that side, because your gear selector is down here. Now the gear selector, you really have to put your foot on the brake and you really have to shift it into gear, because otherwise it might just drop into neutral. That can be a little annoying. Volume scroller there too, which is a nice bonus. And there's bottle holders in the doors that are a decent size. The material finishes are all pretty good in here, and I think it doesn't feel too bad for the cash. Now, the sun is getting into my eyes, so I've got these sun visors. Just have a look. They've got illuminated vanity mirrors, and I mean, if you think that you can drive and do something while you're looking at your face at the same time, this should stop you, because you can't see anything underneath there, really. That's good. And up here, there's also an auto dimming rear vision mirror, and you can actually see out of the mirror, which is good, because some other Cherys you can't. And you've got your controls for the panoramic glass roof, and it does have a sunshade, which is excellent, and a light headliner, which is also excellent in my opinion. So let me jump into the back seat and show you what the space is like. I have said in the past that I am pretty impressed with the amount of space in the back of the Tiggo 7, and that continues to be the case here. There's lots and lots of legroom, a good amount of footroom with this seat set for me at 6 foot tall, and headroom is also pretty good, I've got to say. Even with this glass roof, it's not bad at all. You do have grab handles up the top there. There are lights in the back, and you've also got the expected things like ISOFIX points in the window seats, 3 top tethers, a flip down armrest with cup holders. Just be mindful that the seat might be a little bit uncomfortable if you're in here for a long time as a grown up and you're not using an ISOFIX seat for yourself. Now you've got map pockets on the seat backs, bottle holders in the doors, nice finishing as well with soft touch panels where there should be, and directional air vents there as well. Plus a USB port and a little storage tray. So yeah, it pretty much nails the brief for the passenger-friendly elements. Under the bonnet of the Chery Tiggo 7 Super Hybrid, and under that cover right there, is a 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, which is teamed up to an electric motor, and they both have pretty decent outputs. I'll put them on screen now. And combined, well, there's no official number, but it does have a single speed hybrid transmission, and it's front wheel drive only. Would that be a deal breaker for you? I'd love to know, but let's talk about the battery pack and your EV driving range considerations. On the passenger side, you'll find your petrol filler cap. Yeah, 91 RON, which is good. And on the other side, you'll find your power filler cap. So you'll see some numbers popping up on your screen here, people. Your AC charge rate is on display now, and that is not too bad. And yes, it does have DC charging capability as well. And that tops out at 40 kilowatts. And that should mean a 30 to 80% charge in a relatively short amount of time, about 20 minutes at a fast charger. So if you do need to top up and drive electric, you can do that in public. And if you want to charge at home, well, it's got that capability as well, obviously. It is an 18 kilowatt plus LFP battery pack with a claimed EV driving range of just over 90 kilometers, which is not too bad, but is it realistic? Well, let's go drive it and I'll show you what I got. Rightio, so let's talk about this drive experience. There are some things that, well, frankly, could be better. Firstly and foremost in my mind is the ride. The suspension here is not as well considered as some other vehicles in the segment. It's a bit firm, a bit wooden feeling. If you've ever heard that before, it sort of means that it doesn't necessarily cope with bumps, rather it sort of just feels them and throws them at you, and it can feel like it's got, well, wooden legs rather than flexible feet, if that makes any sense. It's not a terrific ride comfort or ride quality, and it could be a deal breaker for the more enthusiastic person who really does like to feel like the car is at one with them, because you don't really feel like that in this car. It's got body roll, and it also feels hard and uncomfortable on bumps. So It's not a very pleasant experience from the ride perspective, and I don't think that the steering is as good as it could be either. Certainly it's pretty light and pretty responsive, and you will at least be able to judge it in most situations relatively easily, but it is also not the most thrilling thing to drive, and you do also get a fair bit of nibble through the steering wheel, so it sort of gives you a bit of feedback that you might not necessarily want. And another thing that maybe exacerbates the handling and ride characteristics of these tyres, they are Maxxis tyres, they're not the greatest, I've got to say. It's not a terrific dynamic experience. Thankfully, the powertrain is a pretty positive one in terms of my impression of it. It's good in a lot of situations. You've got the turbo petrol engine, which feels like it's got a relatively good level of refinement to it. It's not too noisy, and it also, well, does the job when it's in hybrid mode. And then there's the EV mode. I drove it in EV mode earlier today, and it felt really quite good. When you are driving it as an EV, you can go up to 120 k's an hour with more than 30% of battery remaining, and it will stay in EV mode. Unless you find yourself on a steep hill, then you might find that it turns into a hybrid for that instance to help you get up the hill or something like that. But I think that the way that the hybrid management works is actually pretty good. It does deal with, you know, changing dynamic situations pretty well, and it's smooth when it transitions between electric and hybrid powertrain mode. And I think that that's pretty much all you can ask of a vehicle like this, apart from obviously achieving the claimed range, but we'll get to that in the next section. Then there's the regen braking. It does have multiple different modes of regen braking, so you can adjust the way that it behaves when you take your foot off the pedal, the accelerator pedal that is. It can be assertive, it can be more natural feeling, like a regular car, but it also does have a level of, well, difficulty when it comes to judging the pedal response. So when you do put your foot down on the pedal, it can feel a little bit airy, and at times a little bit difficult to judge what's happening and how much pressure you actually need to put down on the pedal, because it's got, again, a bit of a wooden feeling to it. So look, it's not the most pinpoint precise drive experience, but at least it's going to be pretty good when it comes to the fuel economy, as I'll tell you in a sec. And it's also got a decent turning circle, so it can turn around relatively easy and quickly, and for urban drivers that might be a very nice plus. Plus, if you are an urban driver and you choose the high grade version, you get that surround view camera system, which is really, really handy. Right, let's talk EV driving range, hey? Alrighty, so this car has more than 90 k's of claimed EV driving range. Now, it's the NEDC testing regime that figure comes from, and it's a bit more lenient, if you're not aware, than some of the other testing regimes, which might give you more realistic real-world consumption expectations. Now, on this test drive, which has been part of a launch drive with Chery up from Sydney to the Hunter Valley and back, I did some EV driving in this car. On screen, you'll see what the car achieved in terms of EV driving range before it turned into a hybrid, and it'll do that automatically for you. Once it gets to a certain point where the battery is depleted to a level that it thinks, I need to use the petrol engine to keep me going, it'll do that for you. And look, it can run in EV mode up to 120 k's an hour until the battery is down to 30%, but it will go lower than that if you are trying to hypermile it and you're on the flat and you're doing less than 120. So that's pretty good to know, I would say. And if you are also thinking, well, what about after the battery is depleted? Well, the official combined fuel consumption figure for this car is a measly number. You'll see it on screen now, and pretty misleading, I would say, because that's just the way they're tested. That might be possible for the first 100 kilometers, including the 70, 80 Ks of EV driving that you might get from the battery pack. But the next 100 will always be more thirsty. It will use more petrol because you'll use the petrol engine more. You don't have a full battery anymore, so you've got to use more fuel. And if you're wondering what I saw in the hybrid mode, well, you'll see that number on your screen now. And I think that is still a very, very good number for a hybrid SUV. In fact, it's better than lots of the other mainstream hybrid SUVs for general fuel consumption. Now, keep in mind, your fuel requirement is just 91 RON. You don't need to put the premium juice in, and I'll put the petrol tank capacity on your screen now. So you'll be able to figure out, based on those numbers, how many Ks you might actually get, because they do claim 1200 Ks plus of combined driving range. I'm not so sure whether you'll actually get 1200, but you might get close. The Chery Tiggo 7 has a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. The plug-in hybrid one hasn't been rated just yet, but it does have a whole host of, well, identical safety tech and equipment that is actually pretty well tailored to this car. So you've got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, there's adaptive cruise control, there's intelligent cruise assist so it can stop, start and steer for you if you want it to. It's even got a speed sign recognition system, and if you turn off the chimes, it won't turn them back on, which is awesome because it doesn't give you the shits. There's also a driver monitoring camera system, and it's pretty well mannered as well. And you've got things like blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert with braking, and also you get a reversing camera and rear parking sensors on the entry-level version. But if you step up to the high-grade one, you get a surround view camera system, which does make it a fair bit more livable, and front parking sensors too. So lots and lots of safety tech and spec, and the airbag stuff you would expect too. So you've got dual front, front side, a front center airbag, and curtain coverage for both rows of window seats, and a driver's knee airbag too. So it really does stack up pretty bloody well on the safety front. Chery Australia offers a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and if you choose an electric or electrified version of a Chery, you also get an 8-year unlimited kilometre battery warranty as well, which is great peace of mind in my opinion. Now, servicing, well, you have a cap price servicing plan for 7 years, and the service intervals are on your screen now. And if you're wondering about the service pricing, well, I'll put the average cost over the cap price plan on your screen now so you can see what it might end up costing you over the years. And hey, there's also roadside assistance, which tops up each time you go back to Chery for maintenance. Seems like it stacks up all right, hey? This is Australia's cheapest plug-in hybrid SUV, and unfortunately when it comes to the drive experience, it does feel it. This is not the most polished thing to drive, but if you're just looking for a commuter SUV with 5 seats and a decent amount of practicality and good EV driving range, well, maybe it will still tick the box for you. I'd love to know what you reckon. Have your say in the comments, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell. It helps a lot, and I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.